Hey guys, autofanatic. It's a rainy Sunday. I'm going to do what I'm going to say is the final oil change service on our Q50 Red Sport. I haven't done any videos on this car since it broke down. I had those 2 videos up. It created a total shit show with people in the comment section cursing, arguing, and fighting, so I had to pull those videos down. I just can't have that on my channel. A lot of my friends have their kids watch my videos, and I can't have cursing and all that stuff. It's just not right. So let's just hope this video stays normal and clean, and vice versa. So if you guys know, the car broke down a number of months ago, had a big issue with the dealership. The service department, in my opinion, sucks, but not just me. There were hundreds of other comments that I got from people in the local area that had the same issue with the dealership, and also probably 700 plus people that have contacted me that had the same issue with the engine, where the belt flies off the engine on the 3.0 twin turbo Red Sport. Like I said, it's just something where the alignment of the pulleys is wrong, but we had to bring it back a second time because there was a little bit of noise. Since then, it's been good. So I'm just going to do an oil change. We got 10 more months left in the lease. We tried and considered buying it out and then trading it in, like, paying off the lease and getting a new car. It just didn't make sense when the car actually broke down. It was just too much money owed. And then we also looked into swap a lease, but with Infiniti Nissan Credit Corporation, that they own the car, you actually have to stay on the contract. So if somebody was to take the lease over and not pay, then it would actually hurt our credit. So you would have to be insane to want to do a deal like that. You're almost better off to just paying it off than taking the risk of doing that. So there's 10 months left in this lease. We're going to ride it out. We're going to drive the car, through the winter, and then after the winter, we're going to get something else. Now, we were at the dealership the other day. My wife fell in love with the Q60 Red Sport. I'm going to throw some pictures from the dealership up right now. White with the red interior, really good looking car. She says if there's a way we could get rid of this now, she would like to get that. We looked at the QX50, the new one. I drove it. A friend of mine's looking in some SUVs in that market. I also drove the BMW X3 and also the Mercedes GLC, which I have a review that I'm going to put up on my channel soon. So, we've been car shopping with myself and some friends and everything in between. So I'm just going to give you, just rant a little bit, talk a little bit about what's going on with this car and what we plan on doing with it in the near future while I do the oil change. Because like I said, we're not using the car as much. I'm not using the car as much. I'm not beating on the car. We haven't really taken a lot of long trips. So the mileage for between now and the next 10 months is probably going to be about, anywhere between 4,000 to 5,000. It's going to keep it low just because, like I said, everything's just been changing with work and what's going on, everything else. So it doesn't make sense for what we're paying for this car to pay it up right now and then just try to find something else because we're in the market. We don't know. Maybe something in the spring is going to come out that we might love a little bit better. And if Ford does come out with the new Bronco and it comes out soon by the spring, that's going to be at the top of my list. I just think that would be a really cool retro car to have, and I think that might work out well for us. So let me just get the car set up on my wooden work stands and move the camera around. We're going to start doing the oil change, and I'll talk a little bit more about what's going on. All right, guys, we're back. You can see I got the front of the car raised on my wooden service stands, I call them. I know I got to do a video on how to make these things and set these up. I just haven't had the time to put this together for you guys, but it's going to happen soon. Most likely sometime in the fall, I'll do a video when I'm on my next woodworking project that I'm doing for work. I'll pull out the table saw and all the other stuff, and I'll show you guys how I rip the wood, how I set it up, how I pre-drill and do all of that stuff, because that's a lot safer than being under the car just with a jack. And to be honest with you, it's just a lot safer, and I just feel more secure working on it like that. So let me get the camera moved around. We're going to get under the car. We're going to get the drain pan under there, and we're going to drain this oil out. All right, guys, we've got the camera under the car, and like I said, it's a Sunday, rainy day here in New York, and the temperature went from 98 degrees about 72 hours ago to about 55 degrees and raining. It's totally crazy. It feels like a cold November day. So we're just going to pull down, this is the access door to get to the oil filter, and I'm going to check it. Yeah, it moves a little bit. If you guys saw my video on my GT350, I had over the winter a Ford dealer do my oil change because it was freezing out in February, and I had to bring the car in for an update on the navigation system, or what do they call it? Sync. They had to do a sync update. And they over-torqued the oil filter, and it took me 4 hours, and that was not a good day. But this is not bad. I could actually get to this, and I got all my tools here. So we're going to just undo the drain plug, which is right up here. Then I'm going to put a new crush washer on the drain plug before I put it back. And even though this car is a leased car, I still take care of my cars. Okay, broke that free. Yeah, there's definitely a little corrosion under here, you know, from driving it over the winter. And, you know, Japanese cars tend to rust pretty easily. That's just very common. They don't do a lot of corrosion protection like some of the German cars. But that's just what it is. So we're going to let that sit for a little bit, get all the oil out of the oil pan, and let me go get some shop towels. So we're gonna let that drain out before I start messing with the oil filter, because I'm using the lower profile drain pan here. But like I said, we're car shopping right now, and you know, the problem with these Infinitis, and I'm not the only one that's got this concern, is that you know, you get a lot of car for the money. You really do. I mean, there's this car. To pay a lease in the low $400 a month range, to have 400 horsepower with a GTR-derived engine, you know, that's really what the foundation of this engine is. It's unheard of, because you're not going to get that with an IS350 Lexus. You're not going to get that with a BMW like 4 Series or any of that stuff. It's just not going to give you that performance. Even like a comparable Mercedes C43, your lease would be $650 to $700 a month. So think about the numbers, because what this car leases for, and this is why I still think it's such a bang for the buck. You could lease a Honda Accord sedan fully loaded for the same price as something like this. But the couple of things that bother me with this Infiniti brand is the dealer support. They'll do everything they can to sell you the car, but you know, we didn't have a good experience with the service department. The car was in the shop for 10 days, no return phone calls, no return emails, no loaner car. That was another freaking inconvenience to us. And the car was dirty. It wasn't delivered back. They didn't even clean the coolant off inside the engine bay. They gave us a nice door ding that, of course, I had to pay to fix. And it's just one of those things where, you know, the after-sale support is really one of the most important things as a consumer that you have to start considering, regardless of how good of the deal is. Usually, if it's too good to be true, there's going to be a catch to that. That's just with anything in life. So, you know, I think I'm leaning towards going to a Mercedes or BMW, primarily because of the dealer network is so abundant around where we live, and their service is outstanding. Regardless if the cars fall apart and they have electrical problems or whatever, to me it doesn't make a big deal dealing with that, because you call them up, you bring it in, you get a loaner car, no questions asked, they call you back, they respond to your emails. It's just a different scenario, you know, with those luxury brands. Same thing with Lexus. But there's really nothing in the Lexus lineup that I personally like, except like I like the new LS, I like the LC, but those cars both wouldn't take the place of something like this for what we need it for right now. So we need something all-wheel drive, automatic. We want something sporty, luxury, fun. But and then another thing I'll mention too is like I said, there's some really good competition right now coming out of Korea. The Stinger GT2. Go back on my channel. I did a review of that car. The car is incredible the way it drives. It's also the same platform as the new Genesis sedan. So those are cars that were designed by head honchos at BMW Motorsport that now work for the Korean brand. So I really think the Japanese car companies, if they want to have a stake in that performance sedan segment, they really need to either start copying what the like Kia and what Genesis is doing, or they just need to start with a clean slate, because the chassis on this car, it's good, but it's nowhere near as good as the Stinger and nowhere near as good as the Genesis. And that's really what's a shame, because the motor is so damn good in this car that if this motor was available in the Stinger GT2, I would probably pay up the lease, take the loss, and get the Stinger GT2 now, just because the chassis is so damn good in that car. The front end, the steering, everything is so much more dynamic. I just don't like the engine in it, but
And like I said, there's no perfect car, so it's a matter of like taking attributes of one car and applying it to another car, and kind of, I wish we could do that and make our own perfect car. I guess that's why I've been modifying cars my whole life, and building custom hot rods and everything else, because you could kind of pick and choose what you want and make it the way you want. But that doesn't really apply to a car you're going to lease or a daily driver. So that's pretty much where we're at now. Like I said, the wife loves the Q60 Red Sport in white with the red interior. I think it's a sharp looking car. I would most likely get that car with the dynamic active steering. I just don't like the over assisted steering in this car that we've had. We've been driving it for a little over 2 years now, and I think with the DAS, you change the tires to the Michelins, put like a P4S on there, and dial back in the menu. The car will feel fun. It would feel a lot better. But the question remains: is it worth getting the good lease deal that if something does happen, what do we do? So I don't know. We're kind of like on the fence with that. We really are. And this car really was a last-minute decision. We were, buying a Mercedes, and it was a matter of what they were going to buy back our other car for, because we own that car. And Infiniti gave us the best purchase agreement to buy it out, and that's pretty much how this all happened. It wasn't like we even had this car on the radar. I didn't even know about this car until I went to the dealership. The old salesman's like, "Hey, which one do you want to drive? We got the base model, we got the hybrid, and we got the 400 Red Sport." And I was like, "What the hell is that?" And he's like, "Oh, 400 horsepower twin turbo." I said, "That's the one." Pulled out of the dealership, and the one that we drove was a rear-wheel drive. Car did a little fishtail, had a shitload of power, and I said, "This is the one we're getting." And that was it. And we're a little over 2 years into it now, and like I said, the car's been good, except for that little hiccup we had where the belt fell off the engine, and that's why I decided not to modify this car. I sent all the parts back that I bought for it. I sold a lot of stuff too to some of you guys that watch my channel, just to cut my losses and move on. So, like I said, ever since that happened, I don't beat on the car. I don't drive it hard. Right now, it's just used as a mode of transportation, on the weekends, or we do errands and do stuff like that. But, it does scare me. If the belt does fall off and you're on a 4 or 5 hour trip, what do? That's a problem. So, I've been keeping it easy. Haven't really driven it much since the car broke down, where I lost power steering, lost power brakes on the middle of a highway at 60 miles an hour. It was pretty scary, and I'm actually glad that it happened when I was in the car and not the wife, because that could have been a tragic accident. Because, like I said, I'm used to my vintage cars breaking down, growing up, and shutting down on the highway. To me, that's commonplace, and I kind of have a very good reaction time of handling those scenarios. But a lot of women, they panic, and you got to be really careful. You don't want anybody to get hurt, especially like if your wife has kids in the car and stuff like that. So you got to be really careful. So a simple little glitch of the pulleys not being attached to the engine properly could lead to a catastrophic issue for the drivers or passengers in this car. So let's just move this back. I'm gonna go get a new crush washer for the drain plug now. All right, guys, we're back. It took me a little bit to find another crush washer for the drain plug. I have a complete kit of copper crush washers, so you want to make sure you get a new one. It's just preventative, little touch, so you don't get any leaks and drips, and also it'll prevent it from seizing up. Now, we're going to tighten that with a 14 millimeter. Just snug it up. You don't have to kill it. Now we're going to have the fun part. Let me just move the camera out of the way. Alright. So we're going to just take my oil filter wrench here. And that's it. Nice and easy. You know why? Because I did this oil change last, and I didn't torque it with a torque wrench or an impact gun, which like what happened on my Shelby. That's that. That's why I do the oil filter last. And that's it. We're just going to let that drain out for a little bit. And like I said, the oil change in this car is a piece of cake. It takes you 10-15 minutes. The biggest part is cleaning up and recycling the oil, like I showed you in my other oil change video months back. So I'm not going to go into that right now. But we're going to just get a good drain on it. And like I said, the mileage on this car is going to be kept low. We're just using it. She uses it to go to my office and then takes the train to New York City every day. And then I take the car if I have to go pick up some deliveries, or if I got to go on a little bit of a longer trip, or if I'm going to sit in traffic and I don't want to take the Shelby. I will take this car. But like I said, it's just a mode of transportation now. I'm not beating on this car. I'm not driving it like, you know, I was in my initial review video. Because when I reviewed this car, I drove it pretty hard, and I told you guys, you know, how good it is and what a bang for the buck. And, you know, I'll still stand by that. There's no doubt about it. But, you know, I think it's time to move on. I think it's time to move on. Plus, like I said, you know, after 2 years with any car, I get bored. And I never keep cars that long. But this one, if we were able to transfer the lease, we would have done that. When I did the Ford Focus RS video and they gave me the car, the dealership actually told me the buyout in this car was advantageous for them to buy it because the buyout was lower than the actual value on wholesale, which was actually something that I was considering too. It was like, maybe we'll just have the dealership buy it out, you know, and we'll get a Focus RS. But she wasn't having that. She says, you're not driving that little hatchback. She's like, that's not a car that I want to be in. And that whole idea was squashed in a matter of minutes over dinner. And we never went any further with that. As much as I like the car, you know, I have to be reasonable because it's not for me. I'm not the one that's going to be driving it every day. So that's that. Let's just let it drain out a little bit more. I'm going to get some of my shop towels with a little pre-cleaner, and we're going to just clean this up a little bit and button it up, get the car on the ground, throw some oil on the top, and we'll finish up this video in a few minutes, guys. Alright guys, we buttoned up the bottom of the car. I mean, this oil change is so easy to do. And now we're just going to fill it up with some new Mobil 1 synthetic oil. And like I said, I haven't done a video on this car in a while. You'll see some clips of this video and some of my detailing videos along the way. If you guys pay attention to that, because sometimes I want to show you guys something on a white car. And this is the easiest accessible white car that I have. So that's pretty much it. You know, we're definitely in a market for something new. We have about 10 months to decide what we want to do. And I don't know. I mean, like I said, I'd love to hear some comments and opinions of what you guys think we should pick up. But like I said, we definitely would want something all-wheel drive. It's got to be a luxury type sedan, and it has to have, you know, some level of performance. I don't really want to drive a boring car. It's just not going to happen. It's definitely not going to happen in my house, I'll tell you that now. But, so I don't know. It would be really nice if Infiniti did a full revamp on the Q50 and made the car a hell of a lot better with a better chassis and a little bit more refinement and a little bit better technology and everything. I don't know. But like I said, the local dealer to us, you know, they're great for sales. And they got a lot of cars in stock and they'll cut you a good deal, but it's that after-sales support that worries me. And even though, you know, we only brought the car in there twice, the second time we brought it in there for something else, aside from the noise, and oh, problem not found. And that's a problem with almost every service center today. You could have an annoying noise, squeak, rattle, you could bring it in 10 times, they'll say problem not found, and you're just frustrated kind of living with it for the life of the car. And that's kind of like why I did some of the videos back on my channel, where I showed you guys on how to fix the squeaks and the rattles and all this good stuff, because the dealership's not going to take the time to do it. And you got to be proactive, and that's kind of like how I am with everything. I'm not going to rely on somebody to fix everything for me. I do all the fixing myself. And that's just the way I am with everything. And this car takes 5 3/4 quarts of oil. So that was quart number 4. Here's quart number 5. And I'm going to start it up, check the oil level and all that. So, guys, that's just a quick oil change video and a little rant as far as what's going on with this car. So we're keeping it. I'm not going to lemon law it. It's not worth my time. It's not worth my effort. Like I said, for the way we're using the car now, it's just as a basic mode of transportation. Not using it as a little hot-rodded sedan. Just not beating on the car anymore, and that's just where it's at. So hope you guys enjoyed this video. Don't start any wars in the comments section. Just not going to have that on my channel, regardless of what content I put out for you guys. And that's pretty much it. So I'd love to hear your comments. Any of you guys that have the Q50s or Q60s, what we should pick up next. I mean, should we get the Q60 Red Sport? Make her happy. I think it'll be kind of a cool car. And I'll tell you right now, if we do get a Q60 Red Sport, it'll be like a 2019 model. That car I'm definitely would modify. I would definitely do some, wheels and tires, intake, exhaust, maybe lower it. That could be a cool car to show on the channel, but I don't know. I just think the Korean cars drive a hell of a lot better. They have a better chassis. And then again, you get the better after-sales support with Mercedes, Lexus, and BMW. BMW and Mercedes are pretty much the two top on my list right now. Audi, not even interested in Audis. I'm just not into the brand. And just, vice versa. So see you guys soon on the channel. More videos of various content to come. Please like, subscribe, and share. Please go to my new website, autofanatic.com, and stay tuned for some more videos as soon as I start releasing the Autofanatic car care line. It's coming soon, guys. So see you guys soon.